Good morning, students. So this is lecture 2 of chapter number 2, Federalism, from the subject Civics, class 10. So in the previous lecture, we have talked about what does federalism mean, what really federalism is all about, and then we have talked about the objectives of federalism, and then we have talked about the features also, basically about the levels on which it works, and then the different tiers of government which they have. So all these were the features that we have discussed. Now in this particular lecture, what we are going to discuss and learn about are basically these will be the topics that we are going to cover in this particular lecture. It is what makes India a federal country. So what makes India a federal country, we will discuss that on what aspects. Then we will discuss about how is federalism practiced. So on what policies and what objective does the federalism practice, and then we will discuss about the homework solution. So we are going to start now. First of all, we are going to discuss what makes India a federal country. So like we have earlier also seen about, and we have studied about these small countries like Belgium and Sri Lanka. They have faced many problems of the managing diversity. And what about this vast country like the India we have, and so many other countries are also there. They are following so many languages, they are following so many religions and regions. They have certain power sharing arrangements in their country also. So how it works? So basically India has emerged as an independent nation after a painful and bloody partition. Soon after this independence, several states have become a part of the country, and the constitution declared India as a union of states. So although it did not use the word federation, the Indian Union is based on the principle of federalism. So when we talk about that, the constitution originally provide for a two-tier system of government. The main is the union government, or what we call the central government, that represent the Union of India, and the state governments laterally. And the third tier of federalism has added in the form of these panchayats and municipalities. And in any federation, when we talk about these different tiers enjoy their separate jurisdiction. Basically the constitution clearly provide a threefold distribution. Basically when these on which things it works, basically on the division of power. Some states are given more power and some does not have that kind of a power, and there is some written constitution that have been made to make a federal country. They are union territories, then jurisdiction, levels of government, and they work on three tiers of government. Basically the constitution clearly provide a threefold distribution of legislative powers between the union government and the state government. Thus it contains three lists. So first of all, we'll discuss about the division of power on which it works. So firstly, it is these union lists which say that the subjects on which only the central government makes the laws. In when we talk about the division power, it is divided into three categories. First is the union list, second is the state list, and the third is the concurrent list. So when we talk about these union lists, the subjects on which only the central government makes the law. So in the union list, the central government is the one who are making the laws for whom? For these defense, these foreign affairs, currencies and communications. So basically these union list includes subjects of national importance such as defense of the country, foreign affairs, banking, communications and currency. So they are included in this list because we need a uniform policy on these matters throughout the country, and the union government alone can make laws relating to the subjects of mentioning these examples, because the defense, the foreign affairs, currency and communication. So when we talk about these state lists, the subject on which only state government can make laws. Basically, for example, police, trade, agriculture, irrigation, commerce. So these are the examples of state list. So a state list contains subjects of state and local importance such as police, trade, commerce, agriculture and irrigation, and the state government alone can make laws that are relating to the subjects mentioned in the state list. Now the third one is the concrete list. When we concurrent list, when we talk about in the concurrent list, subjects on which both level can make laws, but at the end the laws made by central continues. So basically it includes the subject of common interest, which have common interest within themselves to both the union government as well as the state governments, such as education, forest, trade unions, marriage, adoption and succession. So basically both the union as well as the state governments can make laws on the subjects of these examples, basically education, marriage, trade, etc. And if their laws conflict with each other, the law made by the union government will prevail. So basically it will turn out to be, they will think about to make some new laws for them if there are certainly problems in these laws, or they are having conflicts between them. So they are revealing these laws again and again. Now what about the subject that they do fall in these three categories, and on what subjects after the constitution was made when we talk about. So basically in these three categories, why it is being framed like this. So you can note that according to our constitution, the union government has the power to legislate on their resolutory subjects. So we note that these federations and these lists that have been made as subject of national importance in union list. In state list they have the subjects of local and state importance, and in concurrent list has subject of common interest both to central and state. When these union alone can make laws, in the state list state government alone can make laws, and in concurrent list both are making and framing these laws. What are the examples? Defense, banking, currency, foreign affairs. They are the subjects on which the union government is making the laws. In the state list, the police is there, trade, commerce, agriculture and education. The state is making the laws. And on education, forest, trade, union, marriage, adoption and succession, the concurrent list, both union and state can make it. Now when all these states of this Indian Union do not have identical powers, some states enjoy a special status, like in Jammu and Kashmir has its own constitution. They don't follow any other constitution, they have particularly their own constitution they have made, and no other central union or state government can interfere in that. And when there's many provisions of the Indian constitution are not applicable to this state without the approval of the state assembly. The Indians who are not permanent residents of the state cannot buy land or house there, and similar special provisions exist for some other states of India as well. And there are some units of the Indian Union which enjoy very little power. These are the areas which are too small to become an independent state, but which could not be merged with any of the existing states. These areas like Chandigarh or Lakshadweep or the capital city of Delhi are called the union territories. So basically on which it works, on the union territories they work. The central government has special powers in running these areas, and this share of power between the union government and the state government basic to the structure of the constitution. It is not easy to make changes to this power sharing arrangement. The parliament cannot on its own change this arrangement. Any change to it has to be forced back by both the houses of parliament with at least 2/3 majority. Then it has to be rectified by the legislatures of at least half of the total states, and this judiciary plays an important role in overseeing the implementation of the constitutional provisions and procedures in case of any dispute about the division of power, and the High Court and the Supreme Court make the decision. The union and the state government have the power to raise resources by levying these taxes in order to carry on the government and the responsibility assigned to each of them. So how these federation works in the country like India. So these are few of the things that how it works. Now we'll talk about how this federalism is practiced. So basically these constitutional provisions are necessary for the success of federalism, but these are not sufficient enough. Why? Because if the federal experiment has succeeded in India, it is not merely because of the clearly lied on the constitutional provision has been made. The real success of this federalism in India can be attributed to the nature of democratic policies in our country, and this ensured that the spirit of federalism, respect for the diversity and the desire for living together become a shared ideal in our country. So when we talk about all these things, few of the major ways how it can happen. So how it happens, first of all we'll discuss about the linguistic states. So the first challenge that have been faced after independence was the linguistic state. So basically India is a diverse country where there is a lot of languages, lot of dialects are there which changes from every area to area. There are so many linguistic areas, languages are there. So the first and major test for democratic policies in a country was this linguistic state. If you look in a political map of India, when it began its journey as a democracy in 1947 and that of 2006, you will be surprised by the extent of the changes that have happened from that time till now. And many old states have vanished and many new states have been created. So there are so many states that have been built after independence also, and there are so many states that have been vanished also. So, and these areas, boundaries and names of the states have been changed. In 1947, these boundaries of several old states of India were changed in order to create new states, when these new states were formed on the basis of language and culture. So basically these new states were formed on the basis of their language and culture. This was done because to ensure that the people who spoke the same language live in the same state. So those who are speaking the same language should live in the same state, and some states were created not on the basis of their language but to recognize differences based on their culture, their ethnicity or geography. So basically some states were formed on the basis of ethnicity and geography, such as Nagaland, Uttarakhand and Jharkhand. These were few of these states that were based on the ethnicity. When the demand for the formation of states on the basis of language was raised, so on that some national leaders they were quite threatened and feared that it would lead to the disintegration of the country, and the central government reset the entire linguistic state for some time, because the experience was shown in the formation of linguistic states also, and this would actually make the country more united. It has also made the administration easier when there was some work concentrated that it might lead to disintegrated of the nation, but that worked well and efficiently. Now when we talk about what are the things that were basic of the creation of the states in India, the creation of linguistic state was the first and the major test of democratic policies in India. This was done to ensure that people who spoke the same language lived in the same state. For example, Gujarat, West Bengal and Bihar, and some states were created not on the basis of language but to recognize differences based on their culture, ethnicity and geography. These include states like Nagaland, Uttarakhand and Jharkhand. So these were it. Now we will talk about these language policy. So the second test for Indian Federation is the language policy here. Our constitution did not give the status of national language to any one language. Like Hindi was identified as the official language, but Hindi is the mother tongue of only about 40% of Indians. So it is second and the major, as India does not have any official language, as more than 40% people in India speak Hindi. For more safeguards are provided to them. and there are many safeguards to protect other languages also. Beside Hindi, there are 21 other languages also that have been recognized as a scheduled language by the constitution. Like a candidate in the examination conducted for the central government position may opt to take the examination in any of these languages, and these states to have their own official languages must because of these government works takes place in the official language of the concentrated states. So, but these 21 scheduled languages are taking place if there are any government exams or central exam they are giving. So they can enjoy their own language for official purposes also. Like unlike Sri Lanka, the leaders of our country adopted a very cautious attitude in spreading the use of Hindi. According to the constitution, the use of English for official purpose was to stop in 1965. So basically, the constitution was made so that the use of English for official purpose was to stop in 1965. However, many other Hindi speaking states demanding that the use of English should continue, because in Tamil Nadu this movement took a violent form in back in 1965 also. The Tamil Nadu region, the state, there are some people who have violated this thing, and in the central government they responded by agreeing to continue the use of English along with Hindi as their official purpose. And many critics think that this solution favored the English speaking elite, and the promotion of Hindi continues to be the official policy of the government of India when we talk about that. And the promotion does not mean that the central government can impose Hindi on the states where people speak a different language. The flexibility shown in Indian political leaders helped out country to avoid these kind of situations that Sri Lanka find itself in. So for like flexibility in languages helped India to avoid the situation like Sri Lanka had faced in applying this language policy that was there. So what this policy say that the second test for India Federation is the language policy. Our constitution did not give the status of national language to any language, and Hindi was identified as the official language, but it is the mother tongue of only about 40% of Indians. So the central government said to continue the use of English along with Hindi for official purposes. That was the language policy according to this federation policy have been framed. Now we'll talk about the central and state relations that have been made. So reconstructing the central-state relations is one more way in which this federalism has been strengthened the practice. How to? It helped a lot in avoiding clashes between the central and state government. And when some political parties were ruling in the central and state government, state couldn't enjoy more power as central government could influence that, because the central government could influence these decisions of the state. And for a long time the same party have ruled both the central and in most of the states. Like today itself we can see that the BJP is one of the leading parties in India, and they are leading the central and most of the state government in India. So they have the major shock when we say that, and this meant that the state government did not exercise their rights at autonomous federal units as and when the ruling party at the state level was different. The parties that ruled at the central tried to undermine the power of the states, and in those states the central government would often misuse the constitution to dismiss the state government, and that was controlled by the rival parties, and this undermined the spirit of the federalism. So few years back when BJP was not alignment, and there was a new party that came like Aam Janata Party, so they have ruled Delhi. So there was a rivalry party that have been happened in the system of BJP. So they were taken as a rival party. So every time BJP were taking interest to defame their powers in any way because they are at the central position. So they were trying very hard to defame their powers at any point of time. And in earlier state also, in 1990, many regional parties came up to acquire the power in the states, and these more independent decisions were taken by states, and the federal system were practiced also. All these changed significantly after the 1990s. ये सारे systems have changed. What it was there in 1990, and this period saw the rise of regional political parties in many states of the country. This was also in the beginning of the era of coalition governments. What does coalition government means? It's the kind of a government that was formed by the coming together of at least two political parties, usually partners in the coalition form of political alliance, and adopted a common program. So basically what they have tried, if they have the major votes with them, major seats with them, and मतलब it's like 19-20 वाला फर्क. So what they combine the power with them. They form an alliance of two or more parties. They come together to form an alliance and rule the particular state. And today these regional political parties are even affecting the decision making in central also. Now when these alliances are framing, they can make these parties and they can affect the decision making in the central also. So we can say that today's power sharing is more effective than it was practiced in the early days when constitution was written. We can easily say that, and this trend was supported by a major judgment of the Supreme Court that made it difficult for the central government to dismiss the state governments in an heavy way manner, and thus the federal power sharing is more effective today than it was in the earlier years after the constitution was framed. So this was it about today's lecture. The central state relation was stating that is reconstructing the central state relation is one more way to which federalism have been strengthened in practice, and all these changes significantly after 1990 have been changed, and this period saw the rise of these regional political parties in many states of the country. This was also the beginning of the era of coalition government. And the third tier of the government, the federal power sharing in India, needs another tier of government, which was the local government. Local government was the third tier of the government, and which it is based on the decentralization of power. For example, the urban government, which was municipality, and rural government, which was Panchayati Raj government. Now the lecture is over. We can discuss about the homework solution that I have given you. So I have given you two illustrations that are given on the page number 14 and 15. The illustration was the person was confused that the country is stated into union, state or central government. So the answer is the country is described as union. It is described as union, although its constitution is federal in structure. According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the phrase union of states has been preferred to federation of states for the two reasons. Indian federation is not the result of an agreement among the states like the American Federation, and the states have no right to succeed from the federation. So the federation is a union because it is deconstructible. The country is an integral role and divided into different states for the convenience of the administration. And the illustration 2 was been given that why does the Belgium have adopted the federalism? So federalism is a system of governance that greatly help to accumulate diversity. It is a myth that it is useful for large countries only, and Belgium has had a socially and economically diverse population, hence Belgium has adopted this federalism. So the homework for today is that you have to read the chapter and you have to do the NCERT question number 1 and 2 as the homework. Thank you so much. And if you have any queries, now there is one new option that have been given in the website is the students query. So you can ask your question out there also, and in the comment section too if you have any sort of queries. So you can directly give your feedback on these students queries or in the comment section also. Thank you so much.